Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Her Hoop Stats podcast. Today is Thursday, January 22nd. I'm losing track. I had to look. January is the month that never ends, clearly. Welcome to the Her Hoop Stats podcast. My name is Chelsea Leite. Clearly, I'm going. There's a blizzard outside, Coach, and I'm just like, there's a lot going on. But I'm here with Coach Helen Williams to talk about some fun basketball stuff. How is the weather where you're at? Because we're about to get some like more crazy
Let
snow.
me just say this. They call where I live Hotlanta for a reason. And now you are sending the Arctic blast here to the south. And I went to the grocery store today, which is
Oh no.
Thursday, because I know everybody is going to be at the grocery store on Friday and Saturday. Now, I'm vegan, so it's not like they're going to run out of what I eat because people don't eat it. But no one knows how to drive in that stuff. And I was like, I'm going to get everything done today
Mhm.
because starting tomorrow and Friday, people are just going to go nuts. And They don't know how to drive. We don't have plows. We don't have salt. Like,
That's the
it's just going to
like,
be a cluster, you know what. So
yeah.
I got everything done today, so I don't have to worry about that. But it's called Hotlanta for a reason. Why are you sending us Arctic air?
Look, I'm done dealing with it. It's funny too, because like the part of me wants to kind of like laugh at y'all and be like, haha, like it's literally not going to be as much snow as we have, like, and you're all freaking out. But also, like you said,
It's
we're
not the snow, it's the ice.
the ice and
If it was
the
just snow, it'd be fine, but it's gonna be a layer of ice, and that's where the danger is. So
the
that's why I
cold.
stay inside.
Yeah. We get usually about one good ice storm every year here, where you get like a nice little thick layer on your car and stuff. And then when you go outside and you're trying to like walk and it's like a whole thing. But I will say there's this whole system happening. The south is gonna get snow and ice. But so this is what's called a polar vortex. You can Google that if you want, to our listeners. But the like basically it's like this whole system and the middle of it is the coldest. And you know what's in the middle of this whole vortex? Toronto.
No, what?
Toronto.
Okay.
So we're gonna get. I think they said it's supposed to be like -50 in around here, and so
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's been. I mean, we've had a lot of snow so far. Like it started like right at the beginning of December, and it's just been like snow, snow, snow. We had a blizzard yesterday. We had a blizzard last week. We're gonna have another blizzard this weekend. We're like, unfortunately, I'm kind of used to it. I hate it, but it's the cold frigid that are the worst. It's when it starts getting as cold as it is now and everything starts freezing and it hurts your face to go outside and it hurts your feet and it hurts everything. That's when it's the worst. But anyways, we've spent 3 minutes talking about cold. Which is fine. If you're listening from any of these places that are getting cold, that aren't used to getting cold, good luck, stay safe, wear lots of layers, from your fellow Canadian over here. But yeah, it's been a fun week in basketball stuff. We're finally getting some WNBA news, as confusing as it might be to be getting that at the moment. If you're watching this, today's Thursday. Yesterday on Wednesday, the WNBA dropped their 2026 schedule. They started teasing it on Tuesday, and obviously because I'm chronically online. Oh my god, coach, we haven't even talked about heated rivalry. We'll get to that. But shaking your head at me. But anyway, chronically online. So Tuesday, obviously, I see all of the teasing and the posts and the whatever from these WNBA teams saying like an announcement is happening tomorrow. And in my head, I'm like, it can't be the schedule. Like we don't have a CBA. There hasn't been CBA updates in a long time. And then some people were kind of like, well, what if it is the CBA being signed? And I'm like, that's not going to come from the teams. That's going to come from like someone leaking it to like a journalist or whoever, and it's going to be like a
Right.
ESPN kind of type notification. The teams aren't going to be like, hee teasing, like CBA signed. It's not going to be like that. So I knew it wasn't that. My best guess was that it was like a 30th anniversary kind of acknowledgement. Like I thought they were going to launch a campaign or something for the 30th anniversary, and then it ended up actually being the schedules. Wild.
Well, I think, they don't have a CBA, but they still need to start making some money. They still need people to think about buying tickets and making plans and things like that. So, I just told you before we got on air, I specifically went to Toronto because I'm like, I'm going to Toronto for my birthday in July, and I needed to see when they were playing so I could make my flight. So I fell into what they wanted. I'm
Mhm.
interested. I'm planning flights, figuring
Yeah.
out tickets, asking you for free passes, everything.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I think they want people to start making plans.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's not only the fans to start making plans, obviously they want to start selling single game tickets, et cetera,
Right, exactly. Ticket revenue, because
yeah,
they're
but
going
they
to need it for what they're going to pay the players.
exactly. But they also need to, like, start logistically making plans for the teams, like, they need to the chartered flights need to be booked, the hotels for the teams need to be booked, the travel, the arenas need to be booked because a lot of these teams, especially if they don't own their arena, they
Right.
need to book the arena, and so it's easier, obviously, to book it now, and then, if they have to change it in the future, then they do that, than it is to wait until the CBA is done. And so there's a lot that goes into these things. So obviously once you get that context, you're like, okay, it makes sense. Um, did there's an aspect of like, did they have to announce it? And then you kind of think about the people starting to make travel plans and all of that. Um, I will say, like, from Toronto, like the perspective of me being in Toronto, obviously, and seeing the Toronto schedule come out and all that stuff, I was like, this is so overwhelming. We have games at 4 different arenas. There's so many cities happening. Everybody's like, "Oh my
Now,
god, I'm
why
getting
is that? Why are
so."
they moving around?
Yeah, so yeah, for those of you who are not familiar with Toronto sports or Canadian sports culture, we don't have very many professional teams up here. So, basketball only has the Raptors, baseball has the Jays, the WNBA is going to have the Tempo. Obviously, this doesn't really count with hockey because there's like way more Canadian NHL teams, but they kind of adopt the Toronto teams as like Canada's team. And so the Tempo are kind of trying to kind of do this campaign where they market as Canada's team. And so the NBA does this where for the Raptors training camp and preseason, they're always on the road throughout Canada. So they'll go do training camp, they'll do a preseason game somewhere, they'll do an open practice somewhere in Canada. And so it changes every year. So sometimes it's like Montreal, Calgary, out west, they'll go out east. And so what the Tempo have decided to do to celebrate, because they don't have as long of a preseason, um, and it's a little bit like logistically easier with less teams in the WNBA, they've decided to do like home games in different cities. And so Vancouver is getting 2 home games. Um, Montreal is getting 2 home games, and then because in Toronto we have the bigger like Toronto Raptors arena, which is Scotiabank Arena, and then the main primary home arena for the Tempo is going to be Coca-Cola Coliseum, but that's only an 8,000 venue capacity. So then they're doing the same thing that other WNBA teams have, where they're moving select games into the bigger arena to make up for the demand that is going to be there for certain teams like Indiana, like um, and all of like once you look at the schedule, you'll see that the big arena games, there's 7 of them. It's for those big ticket teams. It's for Las Vegas, it's for Dallas, it's for New York, it's for Indiana. Um, Minnesota is another big one. So it's continuing on that campaign of the WNBA trying to like move into these bigger arenas when possible. And the reason why the Tempo isn't playing in Scotiabank Arena is because it's kind of a whole confusing thing where Scotiabank Arena is owned by the company that owns the Raptors, and they kind of like didn't want the WNBA bid, so then an independent group win, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, so luckily we get 3 games there, which is really fun, and then 4 other games at different cities, and so it's long story short, it's a whole thing to kind of like celebrate the fact that it's the Temple are like Canada's team.
Okay, I don't care where they play. They're playing on my birthday, and I'm gonna be
Yeah,
there.
they're
So
in Toronto. They're gonna be at their home arena on that specific day. But honestly, like if you're listening and you're like, oh, like should I come to Toronto? I mean, obviously, I'm gonna always say come to Toronto because it's where I live.
Homer.
I'm a little bit of a homer, but Montreal and Vancouver are such wonderful cities as well. Like Montreal, I've been to my whole life. I love it. I've been so many times. It's an incredible city in the summer. It feels like Europe almost. It's giving like Europe. It gives like, that mix of North America and all of that. And so sorry, my notifications are going off. But So yeah, I mean, if you decide to go to a different city, it's still going to be a great experience and still going to be a fun, packed game. And I'm kind of hoping Montreal has the potential to break the single game attendance record in the WNBA because the arena there is bigger than any of the other arenas that the WNBA has ever played in. So if they sell it out, having a have a record on our hands.
When they sell it out.
When
When
they
they
sell it
sell
out,
it out.
exactly. I had people in my mentions yesterday trying to be like, they're not going to sell it out. I'm like, no.
Those are trolls.
Exactly. But I do wanna like, on the topic of the schedule releases, I did think it was funny how some of the teams decided to, like, do it. Toronto, like, we were laughing because, it was a partnership with Lego, but it was also kinda like they don't have any players or they don't have really much to, like, go off of, so the idea of just making them little, like, amalgamous little ambiguous Legos made sense because they were like you could just animate it and do whatever you want with it. There were some fun little Easter eggs in there, like when they did the game for Portland, they put a goat with a soccer ball, like Christine Sinclair, because she played in Portland and is Canadian. And so like little things like that. So I really like Toronto's uh thing, but there was also like the one that a lot of people are roasting on the internet was Indiana Fever's schedule release, which was just do you know what a fidget board is?
I do not.
Okay. So a fidget is like one of those little do you remember those like spinners that
That I
were
do know.
people
Yes.
were obsessed with, or those little like plastic punch hole things. So those are called fidgets. And so sometimes you'll like people on the internet will like make like a big board of all these different fidgets and it's for like ASMR or whatever. And so the Indiana Fever's way of announcing their schedule was just like making a fidget board and like I don't know. It was interesting. Not my favorite way of doing it, but
Somebody thought it was a good idea. But they have to generate that interest, like you said. They need to start making money from tickets. They need for people not to forget. They need for people to feel like there's going to be a season.
yeah,
So everything is as much as possible normal in terms
yeah.
of timing on the when they do things.
Yeah, the other ones that I liked, Phoenix had Coach Nate Tibbetts working on the business side of the thing, so he was like trying to like print stuff in the office. He was like working the front desk of the training facility, like stuff like that. He was making photocopies, so that one was fun. New York did a very like nostalgic like TV kind of vibe where it felt like the intro of an old TV show from the 90s, kind of going back to like the 30th anniversary kind of vibes. Yeah, so like I think Portland did like a Portlandia kinda like the TV show kind of like spoof. So yeah, just like really creative ways. I mean, if I'm not sure if how far in advance these things get planned. If I was Toronto, I would have done a heated rivalry schedule. Have you watched Heated Rivalry, Coach?
No, I am. It's analogous to you not knowing who Tina Turner was. I have no idea what heated rivalry is.
You don't? Oh
I have
no.
no idea. No
Like,
idea.
listen, like I'm the first person telling you what a heated rivalry
I have
is.
no idea what that is.
Oh my god. This is incredible. So I'm
So you get to roast me the way I roasted
no, no,
you for
no. This
not
is
knowing
not a
Tina
roast.
Turner.
This is an educational moment.
Okay.
This is an and it's also another and we're talking about Canada a lot today, maybe because we're talking a lot about Toronto. But do you have HBO?
No.
Oh, okay. This is the first problem. I would let you use my Crave login, but it doesn't work in America because Crave is a Canadian streaming site. But anyways, it's this new TV show that is about these two NHL hockey players that fall in love with each other.
Okay.
The whole thing is like their love story, but they're also like they're the best players in the league, and like they're against each other, but they're also secretly in love for like 10 years.
Okay. I'll take your word for it that it's good.
It's so good.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. Oh man. Anyway, so if I were a team, I would have tried to use that because if despite the fact that you don't know anything about it, it is absolutely blown up. It is like the most popular thing happening right now. For
Okay.
those of us who
I will Google it later.
yes, Google it. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, it's hard to kind of like another thing with the schedule that confused me, and I'm curious, I want to get your opinion on this actually, because there are longer seasons in the WNBA than we've been used to. We haven't had this long of a season since the last FIBA World Cup. And so this year for the schedule, they're taking like a 2.5 week FIBA break, which is like there's precedence with that with the Olympics, but at the same time, it's a different time of year. And so they're taking this huge break in September, and then they come back and they play a week of the regular season, and then they go into the playoffs. So I'm curious what you think about the idea of taking a full break for FIBA and then coming back and playing a week. Like, is that a weird time to cut off the momentum of the season?
Yeah, but do they have a choice? Because
Yeah.
they're not going to have players. Players are going to be, playing for their country.
Yeah, that's
And not much really is going to change. I
mm,
don't think in terms of standings if you only have 1 week left. I
yeah,
mean,
that's yeah,
there may be some jockeying for position, but I doubt there's going to be that much change. So, if I were them, try to market it to their advantage. Hey, our players are playing in whatever this player's from France, and she's playing at a certain time, certain day, or whatever. I don't know that they have. I really don't think they have a choice
yeah,
because they won't have players.
yeah, and it's hard because like, the last time there was a World Cup, the WNBA was playing like less than 40 games, maybe like 30, 35, and so they didn't have to they could just condense the season, end it, and then they could go play the World Cup right after, but they don't have that luxury anymore because they wanna I mean, even this season, they're playing 44 games, which is the same as last season, and I think they probably just got to the point where they were like, "We don't have time to do this. If we're gonna expand the season to, say, 50 games like the CBA rumors are saying, then we'll have to wait until next year." So, yeah, I don't think there wasn't much of a choice of when to do that, and then you can't push the playoffs too far into the fall because then you have to compete with things like the NFL and the NBA.
Football, NBA, yep, for sure.
So,
Yeah, you got to keep it in that one window where there's not a whole lot going on except for golf and tennis and car racing and
yeah,
baseball.
and baseball, yeah. Um, so yeah, that's like those were my biggest things with the scheduling was just kind of like one, like it's kind of strange that we're getting this without the CBA. Two, like, oh my god, my credit card from flying all over Canada is gonna be hurting. And three, this like FIBA break is gonna be interesting. But yeah, like I mean, mm, it's like hard to like be excited about it because we still don't have like confirmation about deals or what's going on. But I don't know, maybe it's a step in the right direction. Maybe.
It's they just want you to be excited enough to buy your tickets.
There you
You don't
go.
have to be over the moon,
Just
just
excited.
excited enough to buy the tickets so they can raise the revenue.
Exactly. Um, anyway, so that's kind of I guess that's the only really WNBA news that we have because other than that, nothing's happening. But let's switch over to college now. Obviously, we have a few topics that we want to hit on college. One thing that we were talking about this before we hit record, and you were trying to explain, or we're getting into explaining to me, the resident Canadian who doesn't, know anything about the NCAA, what the difference between D1, D2, and D3 is. Because you said you wanted to give love to D3 today, and I was like, I don't know what that means, but sure, go off. So I'm going to give you the floor, and you can go off on that.
So I'll explain it this way because I've worked on all three levels.
Hmm.
Uh, Division one, most money, best athletes.
Hmm.
Division
Okay.
two, and Division one gives full scholarships.
Okay.
Division two, they give Division one gives full athletic scholarships. Division two gives a combination of athletic scholarships and financial aid or academic scholarships. So, for instance, when I was a head coach at Merrimack College, they were Division two, had this whole sum of money, 10 scholarships, $450,000. I could give it to 10 players and give them $45,000 a piece, or I could give it to 20 players. So a little bit different. It's in perception, it's supposed to be less talent, but you get a lot of D1 caliber players
Mm.
at the D2 level because you can transfer down and not have to sit out. Although it's different now, you can just go wherever you can go. But that's basically it. So Division three, no scholarships, purely for the love of the game, only merit-based aid, only financial aid, supposedly not as good as D2 or D3, right? So um, Division 2 is sort of philosophically there is sort Division 2 is like a hybrid between Division 3 and Division 1.
Mm.
Some are academic, some are more in tune to athletics. So Division 1's the best, Division 2 is the next best, Division 3, talent wise, is after that. So
Mhm.
I wanted to give some love to Division 3 because basketball's basketball. And they all have national championships and the trophy's the same size.
Oh,
So
fun.
and if you look at one of the things I loved about the Ivy League is that they have a D3 mentality, but they have D1 budgets. So D3 mentality is this: all this athletics is part of your holistic experience in college. You go, there's the parties, there's academics, there's athletics. Like we want you to have a good holistic experience.
Like
A lot of
Canada. Feels like
yeah,
Canada.
okay. And so there are a lot of really good academic schools at the D3 level,
Mhm.
and it's very competitive. And I spent a year at MIT, who people didn't even know they have athletics, but they're very good
Mhm.
athletics. But I wanted to give some love to New York University because I was looking at an article about them. They have won back-to-back championships, back-to-back national championships. They've won 76 games in a row. They haven't
Whoa.
lost. They have not lost in 2.5 years. They have not lost in 1,047 days. Their average margin of victory is 38 points. They cause 19 turnovers a game, and they average 42 points off turnovers.
Oh,
So any team would love to have that stat line.
yeah.
So New York University, the league that they play in, I think it's the UAA. Give them some love. Carnegie Mellon beat St. Francis D1 this year. John Hopkins beat Morgan State D1 this year, and of course, Scranton beat Pittsburgh D1 this year. So I felt like Division 3 needed to get some love because they have no scholarships, no NIL, and they just play purely for the love of the game. So there
Wow.
you go. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand now?
Yeah, yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. It like why I said it kind of reminds me of Canada's because like I don't think like you can get at least when I went to school, you couldn't get athletic scholarships in Canada. Like they just don't give them out. There's no you just and you can get like you can get academic scholarships, but there's like they're more private and they're more like because our education here is so like government subsidized that like it is a little bit harder to get like scholarships as opposed to just like grants or loans. But anyway, um yeah, so it kind of seemed like the system where like we do so our NCAA here is called U Sports. And so it's like you can like they still scout like people will come and scout like football scouting is big here in Canada. There's a lot of like hockey, obviously. So like different stuff, and it's getting bigger. But at the same time, you're not playing being like, oh, I'm gonna declare for a draft or like whatever, right? You're playing like you said for like the love of the game and like the holistic experience of like being an athlete and all of that. But yeah, I mean, my question is like, do any of these players end up like declaring for the WNBA draft or like the
Talent level wise, no.
okay.
There. I mean, there might be an exception somewhere, but no, the best talent comes from the Division 1 level.
Yeah.
So that's why, in fact, a lot of those schools recruit Canada. They've been recruiting Canada forever because you guys have great athletes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
get a
know a
free
ton of
education in the
people
United States. I don't know how the NIL works with foreign students. I'm not up
so
to speed on that, but
with NIL now, at least Canadian I know I think it's all international students, they don't get it. They're not allowed to get it.
because I thought you could
They just
get
get
around
scholarships.
get around that by making money if you made it in your own country. So
Yes, so the thing with that is that so, like, say how, like, Aaliyah Edwards did it, how Toby Fournier is doing it, et cetera, is that you sign the deal, like, in Canada, so, like, Aaliyah Edwards, for example, a name that people would know, she signed her deal with Adidas while she was still in Canada or is still in college because there's, like, an Adidas brand like, Adidas Canada exists. So, like, she had to come here, sign her Adidas Canada, but then she was just, like, an Adidas athlete. in general, because they're all like under one umbrella. So that, like, the endorsement section of that is like they can sign those deals, but they have to be like legitimately with Canadian companies. But like now that the NIL scope has kind of moved where like people are just getting like money for going places, um, it's different because they technically, like, you can't go to the US on a student visa and have a job or make money. So all you can do is get a scholarship to go, which obviously all these like D1 players and I guess like some D2 schools are getting. But you can't like make any additional money that isn't going towards your tuition or like your room and board. Pardon?
I said unless you make the money in Canada, so you have to keep the money in Canada if you make it in Canada.
Well, that's the thing, is like they can't get it from the schools because those schools don't
Right.
have Canadian.
But let's be honest. How many schools know people in Canada that's just sort of
Yeah, so that's the
got
thing.
to
Like,
play in the gray area?
yeah, there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of like whatever. I'm sure there's like ways to do it, but like above board kind of vibes. Like there's no NIL. And they can't sign like endorsements unless the company also has like a Canada thing. So like a lot of these, like when NIL was first starting and a lot of these players were having like these little local places like give them endorsements and stuff, that was something that obviously Canadian players could not participate in because they wouldn't have the like Canadian subsection of that. So yeah,
So you
it's
don't
a
have to worry about that stuff in D3. Purely for
yeah,
the love of the game, you make what you make.
yeah, exactly.
So shout out to Division 3 schools and those coaches because they work just as hard as every other level and don't get any recognition. So probably NYU will win a third championship this year.
Awesome. They also get 30 Harry Styles concerts this year, so New
Look,
York is,
only you would know that. None of my other colleagues that I do podcasts with would know that.
and that's why I'm your favorite. Um, anyways, let's keep this on college basketball, obviously. You had a few kind of like highlights from, I guess, like the ranked, we were talking about like the rankings before we got on here, and now I'm blanking on which specific teams that you were talking about, but
Yeah. So you're looking at Texas. Obviously, they're going to go really far in the tournament. Who knows? They might end up in the Final Four. But I'm concerned about who. And people have said this before, but the 3-point shooting, like who off that bench is going to shoot threes consistently. You know how some teams come off the bench, have someone come off the bench, and that is specifically their job.
yeah,
Um, I am concerned about that. Texas has never been a team that's had a bunch of 3-point shooters, but
yeah,
um, it'll be interesting to see if that is something that hinders them as they make their way through the tournament.
hmm,
Alabama, I've said this before, sneaky good. People still are not talking. They're ranked, but they're still not talking about them. Vanderbilt just beat Michigan. They're going to
yeah.
have a really good test against South Carolina this weekend. That is a game that I am looking forward to
That's gonna be
watching. I think it's going to be appointment viewing.
yep.
And then Georgia, I said when I was on with Cindy, uh, not with them yet. Still don't know if they're for real. They
Okay.
beat Ole Miss, so Coach Yo. I mean, if you're gonna talk some stuff, you got to back it up. I feel bad for her because she was just advocating for her team, and it kind of got out of control. And then the team goes and they lose to Georgia. So was that because of how Ole Miss played, or is that because of Georgia? So are they for real? I think Coach Henderson's probably off the hot seat that she was on, or it's at least not as hot as it was at the beginning of the year. So I'll be interested in their next uh, 3 of their next 4 games because their next game is against Arkansas, but then they play Kentucky, Alabama, and Tennessee. All those teams are ranked. So it'll be interesting if they're able to do well with those 3 teams. Then I'm gonna be on board because apparently they're pretty much in the tournament according to Charlie Cream. So those are the things that kind of stood out for me for the poll. What about you?
The first thing that stood out to me in the poll is that Texas Tech finally has their logo on the thing, and I think that was because of my campaigning. And I don't know if AP is watching our her hoop stats, podcast. But I
Okay.
was mad because 2 weeks in a row, they were still undefeated, and every other team had their little logo next to them on the rankings, and you look at Texas Tech and there was nothing, and I was like, "Come on, come on." So now when you look, they have their little logo. So there we go. You're welcome.
Okay. Take credit for it. There you go.
Um, yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt beating Michigan, I think was like, that it was a close game, obviously, which I don't know if that makes me feel any better with Vanderbilt going into South Carolina, but at the same time, like, I don't know, every game's different. I did like, I mean, we've been talking about Vanderbilt since last season and like knowing that this was coming, knowing that they were about to go on a huge run this season. And maybe it's
Yeah.
early and maybe it's, I don't know, but I don't know. The South Carolina game is going to be interesting. I personally, and okay, I'm gonna say this and I can eat my words next week if they end up winning, but like I think South Carolina wins. And I'm fully ready to eat my words if they don't. But um yeah, I don't know. It's hard when you think about when you look at the rankings. Like to me, I was saying this on my rankings column this week. It's like the top four for me is like one tier, and then like
Yeah.
after that is the next tier. And Vanderbilt is now ranked 5, so they're kind of like on that cusp, but to me they don't like hit the same as that top 4. Like you can't, it's not the
Why not though? I mean, everything for Vanderbilt is just like Indiana. People are starting. They in their minds cannot fathom
mhm,
because Vanderbilt was not good for so long. They can't fathom that
that's fair.
this is like a real thing. They didn't believe it with the football team. They don't believe it with men's basketball. They don't believe it with women's basketball. But
And that's
to
like about
shout
football.
out to their athletic director Candace Story Lee,
Okay.
who
Yeah.
I don't know what she's doing, but she is finding that money and she's
Mhm.
making sure that she's doing the right thing. This school has bought into what we all know is that athletics is the front porch of the university, whether people like that or not. If you say, hey, we've got a great bio lab, not going to have as much interest as we have a great weight room.
Right.
So coming from athletics, use it to your advantage, right? So kudos to her. And then I think, Vanderbilt, the thing that interested me the most in Michigan was that they had to play a little bit of time without Michaela Blakes because she had 4 fouls.
Mhm.
So they had to navigate that with her, and being able to do that against a top tier team, I think will help them against South Carolina. I still think South Carolina will win, mostly because I think they're deeper.
Mhm.
But I would not be surprised if Vanderbilt pushed them to the brink.
Yeah.
So and if they make me eat my words, then cool. I think that's great
We'll run it
for
back next week.
Vanderbilt.
We'll eat our
But they are still people still are just they're not with us. It's just like I say about the Ivy League schools and Navy. They're not with smart people being really good athletes. Like to them, they're two different things. You can't be both at the same time. And I've said often enough that they're not being excellent at athletics and academics. They're not mutually exclusive.
yeah.
So I'm with Vanderbilt in this new world of NIL schools like that, schools like Indiana. You get the money, you're going to get the players.
There you go. Can I ask a question that people might roast me for?
Okay.
Where is Vanderbilt?
Oh my God, that's a legitimate question for a Canadian. It's in Tennessee.
Okay, I would have
It's in
not guessed that.
Tennessee.
I would have not guessed that.
I
Tennessee.
wouldn't expect you to know American geography, just like I don't know Canadian geography. So you should not get roasted for that. That is a
Well,
legitimate question from a Canadian.
thank you. And, like, obviously with some schools like South Carolina or, like, whatever, that their name is their location, but Vanderbilt, I'm like, "Where is that supposed to be?" I wouldn't have guessed it's in Tennessee. I don't know.
Yes, it's in Tennessee, and shout out to them because they're getting all the bad weather before we get it uh,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
this
yeah,
weekend. Yeah,
I'm getting all the
but
bad
yeah,
weather.
I'm a big believer in Vanderbilt, and I think people are just waiting. They're just waiting for them to fold, and I
Yeah,
think Coach Shay Ralph, I mean, Coach of the Year candidate with what she's done with that team.
yeah, 100%. It's incredible. And they also just announced a Yukon, like, series over the next few years, so that will be fun too, just
Starting
kinda
in
like
27, yeah, yep, that's going to be
um,
a.
like
And
the
here's the thing: people don't know. Shay Ralph has 7 national championships. I think
Yep.
3 or 4 as a player, and then the rest as an assistant coach. So it's not like she doesn't understand that culture,
No,
right?
exactly. She
She
coached
just needed the pieces.
Yeah, she coached all through that Brianna Stewart era, so,
So 4 as an assistant, 3 as a player, I guess.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so I'm a big believer in Vanderbilt.
yeah, wild. I'm looking through the other rankings now, trying to see if there's any other schools that I don't know where they are. I know Baylor's in Texas, I knew that. Where we got here? Ole Miss is obviously Mississippi, unless I'm very
Nope,
wrong. Yeah,
you're right on that.
oh, man, I don't know where Princeton is. You couldn't tell me where Princeton is. I couldn't guess.
Oh, it's in New Jersey.
New Jersey? Really?
Yes,
Really? That's where
it's
that's
in
from?
New it's in Princeton, New Jersey.
Oh, okay, I guess it is kinda named after where it's from, but I didn't know there was a Princeton, New Jersey,
Well,
so
there's a Princeton in Indiana too, but no, this is
oh,
it's Princeton, New Jersey. I spent
okay,
4 years there. I love that place. That's a great school.
okay, fun. I only know where Duke is because Toby plays there and because a lot of Raptors have come from there, but North Carolina,
Yes.
um, hmm, is there any other no, I think most I found out that Notre Dame was in, Indiana a few years ago, so that's fun, and I think, yeah, everywhere else is named after actually, where's Fairfield? I don't know where Fairfield is.
Fairfield, I think is New Jersey. I should know that. I think it's New Jersey.
Oh,
Wait,
well, you learn something.
let me just check because
Okay, we're
I don't
verifying
want to give them the wrong.
New Jersey. Wow, there's a lot of basketball in New Jersey.
I should know that because I've watched them play enough this year, but I've not paid attention to.
Oh,
Since we are doing a
Right?
geography lesson,
Am I right? Is it New Jersey?
it is in Connecticut.
Oh my
no!
God!
Yes.
I'm sorry, Coach Tebow. I'm
No, no.
sorry.
Trust me. In Scouts Honor, I just learned that this earlier this year. So yeah,
Fairfield is in Connecticut? Is there a Fairfield, Connecticut, or
Why
is
did I think it
it
was New
it,
Jersey?
it is actually in Fairfield, Connecticut. Very good. Yes.
Wow.
I should know that. I should
And
know
and,
that. But
and
okay.
yes, yes, Chelsea, the University of Mississippi is in Mississippi. Ole Miss.
Wait,
Hey,
but
while you're on here, let's all happy birthday
Oh
to
God.
happy
happy
birthday.
birthday to ya.
Let it get to.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. I know it's not till tomorrow, but since we have you on here.
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
yeah,
so old that you have to do it a day ahead just to prepare. You never know.
see, and for your birthday, I learned where Vanderbilt is.
And speaking of, I was gonna break in then, but luckily I did not. Nashville. Once you decide to come south at some point, in years down
It's
the line,
looking dicey right now,
Nashville. Nashville is a place that I suggest you visit. Yes,
see,
Especially if you like country music.
well,
which I
yeah,
don't, but
there's more than country music.
yeah,
Nashville,
no,
but it is known for country music. Yes, but yeah,
yeah,
it's a good place. I've had good times in Nashville.
fun. I know a
All
lot of
right,
people.
Fairfield people, please don't destroy me because I had the wrong city. I apologize.
Shout out to Carly and Blake Dudanis.
Yes,
Yep.
shout out. I should have known because of them where Fairfield was, but now I do know.
Watch them go on a winning streak and do well on the NCAA and go, take that. Now you know where we're from.
Yeah,
And
there we go.
and
Yeah,
God willing, you get their game when they do it. Oh,
yeah,
I hope you're on it.
we'll see.
She might not let me come to practice. I'm gonna have to beg to come to practice and shoot around, but it'll be for
There
ESPN, so they'll be mandated. So yeah.
we go. There
I
you
mean, I
go.
will be sending this to Blake. I'm gonna cut my part out, obviously. Part two.
See, I have an excuse though, because if any of you tried, I want all of you to point out where Montreal, where Vancouver, where all these places are on a Canadian
Oh
map.
no, that's why I didn't break in early because I'm right there with Coach. I would never. So
You can
but
do
hey,
that.
listen, I have given Fairfield their kudos,
There you
so
go.
it's not like I don't know who they are. I just had the
Exactly.
wrong state.
Exactly. So anybody try to roast me for not knowing where all these schools are, try coloring in a map of Canada and try to get all those little islands up in Nunavut and see where you come at.
There's only 3 places in Canada: Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto. Right?
Oh,
There aren't any other. Aren't
That's
any
it.
other places in
I
Canada.
know that there's a Quebec and a Calgary, and only because I watch wrestling. So growing up and
True,
now,
yeah, there you go, yeah. There's a
Okay,
Quebec
so there are 5
City.
places in Canada.
Yeah, there's only 5, historically, only 5 places. I don't know if it was ESPN, but one time one of these big networks tried to do, like, a map of Canada to say where Jamal Murray was from, and he's from, like, the town next to my hometown, and they put it, like, all the way up in Thunder Bay, which is, like, 10 hours away from, where it is. So, yeah, a lot of people don't know where Canada is or what's happening in Canada. Oh, man. Well, now that we have done that geography lesson, that's probably a good way to cap it off for the day. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to tell BMAC happy birthday in the comments. It's tomorrow, but do it early so that he has time to read them all, like he said. But yeah, come back tomorrow. We'll have another episode of the Her Hoop Stats podcast. I'm Chelsea. This is Coach and BMAC as well, who's still in here with us. And thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.